Welcome to watchJojo Cooking. Today we're going to be making fresh poutine and showing you a couple of variety of toppings and just kind of going around and looking for what I'm looking for in a poutine to make it a true proper poutine. So for anyone who doesn't live in the Great White North, poutine is a French fry dish with cheese curds and gravy, and of course you don't need to stop there. You can start adding all sorts of toppings like we're going to do today. I'm going to do kind of a loaded baked potato style poutine with like sour cream and bacon and chives, and it's going to be fantastic. And then we're also going to do a smoked meat poutine. So I'm going to use some smoked meat chopped up. I'm actually going to pair with pickles, which you would think is weird with gravy, but the like bitterness from the like vinegars obviously in your pickles really bring out a bunch of flavors that are like hiding in the gravy. So a few things about cooking fries. It adds a lot to your prep time. You're actually going to want to start this process a whole 24 hours before you intend to serve your dish. Because when you cut your fries, you're going to want to soak them for approximately 24 hours in water. And what that does is it kind of opens up the potato, takes a bunch of the starchiness out, like that really firm starchiness. Gets rid of that, makes them a little bit more accepting of the oil so that they can become crispier, and just leaves you with a better product. Then you blanch them. So blanching is a process where you cook at a low temperature for a short period of time, and you're not looking to fully cook the product. You're actually only looking to like partially cook the outside. The inside will still be fairly raw, but the oil will penetrate the whole French fry. So you want to do your blanching at approximately 140 degrees Celsius, aka like 320-ish Fahrenheit. And you're going to want to fully cook your fries at like 180-ish Celsius, aka like 360 Fahrenheit, maybe a little higher than that. Anyways, so you blanch low, you cook high. That's what matters. And so what that does is the blanching process, you should do 2 hours before you like intend to serve your meal, because you need to cook it at that low temperature for like 2 to 3 minutes and then stick it in the fridge so it can cool down. And you want to fully cool down so the cooking process stops. Once the cooking process is stopped, you can actually pop it back in the fryer at your higher temperature. This results in a crispier, tastier, more oil penetrated fry, and just a better product. This is a method I've been using in multiple restaurants I've worked in the past that have used fresh cut fries. So let's start cutting some French fries. So first, I'm slicing it so that I have all these stacks. Then I'll break it down into stacks I feel comfortable chopping. At this point, this is where I'm gonna make my fries very thin. But you could go for a thicker fry if you wanted. Also, allows you to get rid of any major imperfections we see in our fries here. Just whoop, gone. And boom, 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 boom. So as long as you just keep making stacks, you can control your cuts pretty nicely here. If you're feeling uncomfortable with the height of an angle in which you're doing your potatoes, then slicing lying down is perfectly sufficient. If you have a mandolin, you could totally use that if it has settings that you like. I, however, do not like mandolins. Mandolins are basically a cutting tool that allow you to do slicing, and then on top of having a slicer, it has like teeth, and then it can do strips as well. But I find that you always misplace your guards for your mandolin, and then they become the most dangerous thing on the planet. And if anyone's ever gotten a cut from a mandolin, they will know what I am talking about. The thing is evil. So I'm using proper form to hold down the potato while I cut through, and I'm letting my knife do the work by pushing my knife through it. And then when I am no longer comfortable with like the teeteriness of this potato, I will plop it on the bottom, and I can just slice through the top there and get 1 or 2 more cuts that way. Because I'm going for a very thin French fry. I'm liking the crispiness factor today. So we cut our whole bag of potatoes. It's a ton. So obviously, if you like save your potatoes, they'll last longer, but like I intend to feed quite a number of people, so lots of French fries it is. Next up, storage. So as you can see, we already have that like darkening color, especially on our smaller fries. And what that is that's just like oxidization, and the basically the potatoes starting to break down, and like it would go bad very, very quickly exposed like this without being cooked. So we need to get it in water almost immediately. So what we're gonna do, snip it off the edge here, clean our counter later. There. So I'm only gonna fill it about 3/4. Yeah, there, 3/4. And so the reason for that is I'm gonna soak this, and I'm gonna fill the water basically to the top, because the potato will absorb that water. And like you'll come back and there'll be less water, and if any of these fries are still exposed at that point, they will go brown and they will taste bad. So we're gonna prevent that by making sure that we have an abundance of water and that we won't have any problems. So she's completely full. Very important, has to be cold water. Hot water would like cook it, and also why would we put hot water in a fridge? So cold water, if you have a lid or something to cover it with, that would be ideal. I'm gonna try saran wrap and hope it sticks. And I'm gonna pop that in the fridge for 24 hours approximately. It's been 24 hours, our fries have been soaking. You can see kind of the color difference, that's like just it leaching out into the water, that'll all wash off. Also, you can see all of our potatoes are nice and clean now from being soaked. So we didn't have to like deep clean them. Now don't get me wrong, if you're pulling your potatoes straight out of the ground and they're covered in all sorts of junk, yeah, wash them. But like if you're just buying a bag of potatoes at the grocery store, you'll probably be fine. So they're cut. What we need to do now is strain them. So just a passive strainer will work. Pretty much anything will work, more or less. We'll drain these off. You want to get rid of as much excess water as possible, because you're going to be putting in a fryer, and if you haven't worked with fryers before, water plus fryer equals bad. Entertaining, but bad. It's going to pop around and make a big ruckus, and it will spit oil at you, and oil burns. So let's drain. Cool. So we're straining this off so that there's no more water coming off of it. There's no more liquid, because we don't want all that water in our fryer. It will start popping, bubbling, and more than it should, and it'll start spitting oil, and that's a great way to get a nice little oil burn. So let's get these guys in the fryer here. Always aim to get a few less than you think you can fit in here. I have a pretty shallow fryer, so I only ever go to about the halfway mark. That way they're fully submerged. So your ideal wait time is approximately 2 to 3 minutes, depending on how high your temperature is, how thick your fries are as well. So I'm gonna go with like 2 minutes, and we'll go from there. You wanna make sure it's all submerged. Anything that's not sitting in that oil isn't getting cooked properly. I've touched on it in a couple of other videos, but anytime you are working with the fryer, I recommend having it at least by the hood so it can go up. That way we get rid of this, because I've literally melted countertops with the heat that comes off of the steam. Let's see if my numbers are right. You want to do this probably 2 hours before you're intending to eat it. I'm actually going to give it a little bit longer. I'll show you what I'm looking for in the fry. So I aim for 2 minutes. I'm going to give it an extra minute. So obviously don't be grabbing things straight out of the deep fryer. I just don't have feeling in my hands anymore, so I can get away with it. Just around the edge, it's starting to like get a little darker. You can see it's like really like, it's glistening even in the middle. That's why I'm looking for blanching. Also, our fries, where before they were firm, right? Like they're still malleable, but they're firm now. So that's a batch. You're gonna have to do this a bunch of times, depending on how big your fryer is and how many fries you're doing. And today I'm doing a ton of fries, so I'm not gonna waste your time with the rest of these. We soaked it for 24 hours, we've blanched it, it's been like 2 hours, it's cooled. I can like check the core of it. I'm not burning myself flipping all this around. As you can see, there's still a decent amount of oil on it. So we're now ready for the final cooking process. This is what you're gonna start like 10-20 minutes before you go to serve your dish, if that, like 10 minutes. We are ready to rock and roll. I've already made up some gravy. I just went the packet route today. You could make your own gravy. I decided to use a brown gravy. I like the color, I like the texture, and I like the flavor. Regular Poutine gravy is a little more watery than I would like. So let's get her done. So temperature has been turned up. We're looking at about 360 Fahrenheit to like 180 Celsius area. We're not going to drop directly in oil. We're going to drop in basket and then drop basket in oil. Safer that way. Just to put in perspective though, this is all the fries that I had in that giant container from earlier. As you cook, it reduces in size because you lose a lot of water weight. So I'm pretty happy with that. We're going about halfway full for my fryer. And let's drop. So this process should take about 3 to 5 minutes. And if it's more, then I guess I'm gonna have to correct myself. It depends on the fryer, depends on, once again, how thick your cuts are, how crispy you want your fries to be, etc. So if you want a few shots like that, I'm gonna pop a lid on this for safety reasons afterwards. So you wanna let these drip off. If you're impatient, give it a quick tap, give it a shake. You'll be amazed at the kind of stuff that's gonna come off of it. So you let that drain, but while there is still oil on it, very important, salt your fries. It makes all the difference. Let's get some grits in there. Boom, boom, boom. Has a beautiful sound and crunch. I'm gonna just I have all my materials in front of me. I have smoked meat I've heated up. I get this like pre-packaged stuff with just fantastic quality product. So I'm gonna dice this up. I'll just pop that in there for now. There's our little storage device. And slightly unorthodox, pickles. Pop that off to the side. Cheese curds. So, it's not a real poutine without cheese curds. Seriously. You can add other cheeses. That's allowed. I'm gonna add other cheeses. But they're gonna be as a garnish. This is not a poutine. This is a poutine. Cheese curds are just like the most Canadian thing on the planet. I don't know what makes a cheese curd, honestly. I think the moisture content's a little higher. This would be one of those things where I legitimately don't know what I'm talking about. I just, you know, you do it because it's right. So here, I'm actually just chopping up my cheese curds a little bit extra because they're pretty big. And it'll melt nicer if they're smaller. I'll get better coverage. So we always start fries, salt, cheese curds. Cool. Now, trying to get that skin to break up. We have our gravy. See the delicious specks of pepper in there? Oh yeah. There, we got good coverage on both of them. Gravy is gonna help melt the cheese. If you have an oven that's like on low, if you want to really melt the cheese, you can actually just pop it in the oven right now. I recommend against using a microwave because you'll make your fries really soggy. And I also recommend against holding it like this for longer because already these fries are gonna start absorbing that gravy, that moisture. Now we're in two different versions. Smoked meat. And pickles. A Montrealer. So what this does is the acidity from the pickles actually plays so awesome. It like splits the gravy, like it separates it almost into like two different flavors. And it plays really nicely, of course, with the smoked meat as well. So, pretty happy with that. Some cheddar. So we're using the cheddar as a topping. This is not sacrilege, I swear. It's not the star of the show. Sour cream. I'm gonna go for a dollop in the middle because I like presentation. And get some bacon in there because it would not be a loaded baked potato without bacon. You're halfway there. And then we're gonna go for a little bit of freshness in the form of some tomato and some raw red onion. White onion. Raw onion here. Boom. And of course, color. Obviously chives are onion as well, but I like the color this is gonna give. Food can be an enjoyable experience. Making it look awesome, and just knowing that like this experience you're having, you did that. How cool is that? Oh, so good. Cool. So today we did two different types of poutine. They're both delicious. We covered the importance of using cheese curds. It's okay to use regular cheese, but like cheese curds is your main cheese. Don't you forget it. You can make your own homemade gravy if you'd like. If you have beef drippings, I would use that kind of gravy, like red meat. Honestly, you can put anything on a poutine. It's just a delivery method for so many different kinds of flavors. You can take any meal on the planet and you can spin it poutine style. I did it with a smoked meat sandwich. I did it with a loaded baked potato. You could do it with anything. This has been watchJojo Cooking. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.